Good morning. We're going to do a preview for our test tomorrow, understanding personal taxes. So we're just going to go over these, and this is pretty much what you expect to see on your test tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. Right, good.
Every question to them.
Yeah. Directions, answer the following questions. Which of the following is considered an earned income? Interest, dividends, bonuses, or rents?
No.
Yeah, actually it will be bonuses. So that will be C, bonuses. Usually when I see these tests, without the review, without the preview, I could probably get all but 2 or 3 correct. Usually this is a way to get all of them correct. 2, which of the following is not a tax use for federal government purposes? Providing constitutional functions, offering congressionally mandated programs, protecting citizens against neighborhood crime, establishing national health programs. Yeah, it'll be C. And basically, the responsibility for local jurisdiction, including local police forces, would be C. All these others would be federal instances. 3, which of the following refers to a range of income subject to a certain income tax rate? And if you've done your taxes before and know something about this, you know what this was, brackets, tax breaks. It'll be tax brackets. Depending on your income level, you'll be subject to a certain tax bracket that determines what rate you will be paying. It's called marginal rates. 4, a couple would like to file their taxes jointly. Their household income is $80,000. According to the segment, what is their tax rate? Now, obviously, we covered this in our class, so this is one you're just going to have to remember. It's going to be this. It's going to be C, 22%. So remember that. Remember that.
Yeah, I'm running my notes.
Okay. 5, which of the following forms report an employee's annual wages and the amount of taxes withheld from his or her paycheck?
W.
No.
No.
It's D.
Yeah, well, D is the tax filing form, okay? So it's not that
The
one.
W-4 is for.
Okay, what you receive by the end of January, your employer is required to mail to you a W-2,
That's what I said.
which reports your income.
My dad always complains that his W-2 hasn't come in the mail yet.
Yeah, and so that's one that you should know, and those of you who have jobs recently, you're gonna see that and help you pay your taxes shortly. And this one too, on your final, there's gonna be a similar question to that, determined. Which should be an easy question. Now, what is a W-4? You remember what a W-4 is?
W-4 is
Is that for employment?
Yeah, it's for your.
It's the one you fill out first. Thank you. Very good, Donald and Annabelle. Very good. All right. Next one here. We're in this next section. Answer the following question. Which of the following is not a savings on a taxpayer's liability? And this is probably, you could see it was related to one of the questions we did.
Tax bracket?
Yeah, tax brackets. That doesn't have to do with the liability, but the rest of these do. Okay, next. 2, which of the following types of tax deduction allows the taxpayer to list out all of his or her expenses of the year, such as property tax, medical expenses, and charity donations, unreimbursed business expense? What do we call that?
Itemized deduction?
We call that an itemized deduction, yes. Now, for an itemized deduction, you fill out a 1040 tax form. If you don't have to itemize, a 1040 EZ might be one you could use. Okay, next. Which following is the amount of money a taxpayer can subtract from taxes owed to the government?
Deduction is B.
Actually, it's going to be C. Now, Dono and I think somebody else said B. Tax deductions, what tax deductions do is they lower your gross amount of income, but this tax credits directly reduce the amount of tax you pay. So for my solar panels, I have been granted tax credits that directly reduce the amount of tax I pay. For which following types of tax credits are items directly deducted from the tax liability until it equals zero? Okay, these would be non-refundable tax credits. So take careful notes on this, because some of these are not as intuitive as the other ones we've done. 5, which followings are the most beneficial credits? Non-refundable tax credits, refundable, partially refundable, total refundable credits. They are the B, yes. Refundable tax credits. Okay. Now we are on to our next section. Directions, answer the following questions. Which of the following is considered an unearned income? Unemployment benefits, commissions, tips, or profits from sale of assets.
C.
Yeah, C is earned, it's D that's unearned. Okay, you'd have to, for that income, you'd put on your 1040 form, you'd list that, but that's not going to go under the income section. And if you've done a 1040 itemized allocation like I've done, this would make more sense to you probably. Next, which of the following is not a tax use for local government? Police and fire protection, maintaining standing military, building schools, maintaining local roads.
B.
Yeah, the standing military is going to be a federal government function.
Okay, one thing right here. Right.
How many different tax breaks are in the federal tax system? Now this really can change quite a bit. Do you have any remembrance from a couple weeks ago what that was? The answer 7. So think of something that has 7 in it for a name association with that. The 7 C's. 4, Jason's income was $93,000 in 2017. According to the presentation, what is his tax rate?
B.
It's going to be B, 24%.
Why?
That's what he pays. That's what the tax rate is for that level of income. Now the thing about it is these things change according to congressional law periodically.
How do you figure that out though?
Well, there's a table that has that. There are tax tables, and if you're like me, I use the software program called TurboTax.
That's what my mom uses.
Where the thing automatically updates and calculates these things, and so it's taking a lot of the dirty work out of tax filing for a lot of people. 5, which following is the total amount of tax debt owed by an individual to a tax authority such as the IRS? This one you should know. Tax brackets, tax liability, tax breaks, tax exemption. Which one is the amount owed? Yeah, liability, because you accrue a liability according to the amount of income you earn. Liability to the federal government. Okay, next. When must W-2 forms be sent to employees? We already talked about this today, didn't we?
B.
Before January 30th. I think I said 31st, but I was lying to you. It's January 30th, apparently.
I have a lot of B.
Yeah. 7, which following is a form used by an individual's employer to withhold the proper amount of federal income tax from the employee's paycheck? We talked about this.
W4.
Yeah, W-4, this is what Donna talked about earlier, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, W-4.
I remember saying that.
And we actually filled that out as part of one of our assignments for the class. Yeah. Okay, 8, which following forms is used when an individual is eligible to receive part of the earned income credit, EIC in advance, and chooses to do so?
See the C or VP.
Yeah, it's gonna be, this W-5 is the earned income tax credit form. I don't think I've ever filled one of those out. That's to get earned income credit. That's for if you have kids that are dependents and so forth. 9, when must taxpayers complete and submit tax return forms? What is the tax deadline here?
March
It's,
1st?
it's B. That was D.
It's D, April 15th. Now, because of the COVID emergency earlier this year, that deadline was delayed until when? It was July 15th.
Oh, I
Dang.
Yeah, so it was temporarily delayed for earlier this year, but otherwise it's always been. Now what happens is if the 15th happens to occur on a weekend day, they might say they'll give you till Monday the 16th. So occasionally it could be a little later if thing falls on a weekend. So that's one thing that's an exception. And here we have 10. Which of the following forms is the most complex of all individual tax filing documents to complete? It's going to be A. These other ones are abbreviated versions. This one here is the earned income credits. So anyway, that's really all we have in preparation for tomorrow. I hope this will be helpful to you. Thanks for viewing.